Hello and welcome to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. I am so excited about the show today. We're paying tribute to none other than Miss Maya Angelou. I have right here in the audience, well actually not in the audience but on the set, spoken word artist Mr. Marcus Parker. Marcus, welcome to the show. All right. Now Marcus, I know that you're a very talented spoken word artist. That's why I had you on the show today, man. Okay. I think you do an excellent job. Now, the show is, of course, a tribute to Maya Angelou. I want to know, how were you inspired by Maya Angelou yourself?
I was inspired because of the fact that she was a lady that grew up in a time when to actually speak your mind, if you was a minority, could get you in a lot of difficult situations. And just her strength, her inner strength, her inner just ability to be able to express herself through words as like a broadcasting what was going on in her life and also around her around that time is something that influenced me today and also a lot of others today as well, even though that was years ago. Yeah,
that's the beauty of life and the beauty of a talent, because so often it can go on and transcend time. And obviously, with Maya Angelou, that's something that's happening. Even though she's passed, we're still affected by the words that came from her mouth. Yeah. And it's a blessing when we're able to come together and give a tribute to her and to her honor, because she's inspired so many people. Now, you've written a piece. What is the title of the piece that you've written?
Dear Maya.
Dear Maya.
Yes.
And that's basically a letter to...
A letter to Maya.
To Maya. One of the things that I admired most about Maya Angelou is the things that she had been through, the different trials and the tribulations, but she still stood. She still spoke. I liked also the fact that she really embraced who she was as a woman.
Yes.
When she talks, when you hear her poem, Phenomenal Woman, where she talks about the curve of her hips and carrying the baby and this, that. The things that she talked about as it relates to womanhood, I always felt was very empowering for African American women.
Definitely. Like the book that she wrote, If This Caged Bird Can Sing. And that book really talked about how just racism and difficulties can be told through literature.
Right.
In a time that, like I said earlier, it was difficult for minorities to express themselves freely, and the bird tried to escape the cage throughout the entire book, and that's pretty much trying to escape your change, trying to escape that cell that you're in mentally, even though physically you're not in a cell. Mentally, during that time, many were in a cell that they tried to escape.
And that's another one of the beautiful things about Maya Angelou's writings, is that it gave hope. It inspired you. It made you want to do better. And so often when we're locked in a cage, if we can see a way out, a lot of times it doesn't start with us physically being out, but mentally being out of that place. When we are able to, you understand what I'm saying? So when you hear the poem, the writing, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Singing gave hope. Singing gave inspiration for a brand new day. And it also said, I won't always be where I'm at. And it's so often that we need to remind ourselves of that when we're going through different things in our own personal cages, to know that we too can come out of that cage, but you first have to see yourself out in your mind. Maya Angelou was an amazing writer, and again, her poetry will transcend time. Marcus, we're going to see you back here in just a moment on the Ferrell Phelps Show when you get an opportunity to speak what you have written, and I'm looking forward to it. You guys stick around for Mr. Marcus Parker, and we have another guest, Miss Keandra, that will be coming up right after Marcus. All right, guys.
Sky Trues custom eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny's Child, Soldier Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Goldenboy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames.
Sky Trues! All right, as promised, guys, I told you we'd be back with another spoken word artist who goes by the name of Kiki. Welcome to the show, Kiki.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you know, I wanted you on the show because I know you have an awesome skill and ability when it comes to spoken word.
Thank you.
You are phenomenal. And speaking of phenomenal, the play, not the play, but her writing, Phenomenal Woman. Were you inspired with your writing by Phenomenal Woman?
Absolutely inspirational, especially coming from my generation. We often gaze into the generations before us to see where can we find that aspiration at. And when saying phenomenal woman, it means to me that you can't get the best of me, adversary. And it embodies inspiration, control, and just life. And that's what phenomenal means to me.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, that's the good thing, that you can glean from the things that Maya Angelou has written, and it inspires women. And not only does it inspire women, but it also inspires men too. You know, so her poetry actually transcends gender. It goes across the board, if you will. Now, when you think about Phenomenal Woman, has there been phenomenal women in your life that have also inspired you?
Absolutely. I'm also into the music industry, and I pay close attention to the lyrics, and I would have to say another person that inspires me, not just on a poetic side, but on an artist side, and that would be Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, and I would have to say in my life, my mother.
Yeah. You know, of course, I've had the pleasure of meeting your mother, Sandra, and yeah, I can see why you would say that. And you know what's really cool? I like the relationship that she has with her two daughters, because I know you guys hang out and do different things together, and I think it's a beautiful thing when mothers and daughters can have that type of relationship, because so often in our culture we don't see that. We see mothers and daughters not getting along. But when you see a mother and a daughter that gets along and they can hang out and do things together, I think that's awesome in itself. Because you can get so much from your mom. And when you speak about the phenomenal woman, when you have a phenomenal woman that's right there in your household, what a blessing that is. You know? What a blessing that is. And now, when you have a mom and then you have a renowned poet that you happen to admire and glean from, that has to be a recipe for success in your life.
Yes, it is. I like to think of myself as a creative, although I've been exposed to all those different areas in my life, such as I'm a musician, a songwriter, poet. I think she challenged me and my sister in the household to be more than just that one individual person, but to influence the world, become selfless, involving a different culture. And when I say a different culture, meaning everything, not just culture, but subculture rather, to be an individual. Speak my mind.
Yeah. And that in itself is powerful, to be an individual and speak your mind, because so often people are fearful to be themselves. But when you can get past that and know that you are wonderfully and uniquely made by God, that in itself is something to applaud. But you have to recognize that in yourself.
Correct.
We're going to come back. You guys stick around. And Kiki's going to perform a little bit later in the show. But next up is George Goldenboy Phelps. We'll be back in just a moment.
to step beyond this point, I have no problem with you. As long as you remain in your place, I have no problem with you. As long as you stay under me, I have no problem with you. But you bet not step forward. Oh, I wish I had. See, y'all missing it. Y'all missing it. See, that's the thing about it, is that folk are happy as long as you are where you are.
All right, as promised, I got Mr. George Goldenboy Phelps in the house. Yes, Goldenboy George Phelps is known throughout the city for his ability to speak, his ability to do many things right here in the city of Houston. And so he's going to speak a little bit later on in the show. George, man, welcome to the show.
Oh, man. It's a privilege, an honor, and a pleasure.
All right, come on. Now, he said a privilege, an honor, and a pleasure. Now, you know the purpose of this show today is a tribute to Maya Angelou. I would like to ask you, like I've asked the prior guest, how has she inspired your life and your writing?
She's just a magnificent person. The way she carries herself, how humble she is, how she reflects on women, not just African American women, but the whole culture, period. How she speaks, how she articulates her words, it's all graceful.
Yeah. And it is all graceful. Mm-hmm. It is all graceful. And you know, it takes courage to be the person that she was in the time that she was.
Yes.
And I think that is awesome in itself. One of the things that I admired a lot about her was her courage. And that was one of the virtues that she talked about. One of the biggest virtues that she talked about was having courage. What in your life have you had to have courage to do?
I have to have courage to overcome everything in my life. Just about everything. I just can't think of nothing that I ain't had to have courage for. From sports to my mentality, to how I approach people, to how I was affected by different tribulations in my life, just things that I went through, just the streets, just life period. It was serious. So I got a big heart real quick, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So when you hear her poetry, or you hear I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, or you hear Phenomenal Woman, what do you think about when you hear
Phenomenal Woman? I just think about a female that's just bad. I don't mean bad the way that, you know, hip-hop looks at it. I mean bad, you know, her mentality, how she speak, how she look. Is she a queen? Is she a woman of pearls? Is she always highly exalted when she walks into a room? People look at her. Do she shift the room when she come into the room? Is she just lovely all the way around, you know? And she smells good.
He said, and she smells good. Well, you know, smelling good is very important. You know, and speaking of smelling good, you know, there was a particular fragrance that just takes place when Maya Angelou would walk into the room. Mm-hmm. You know, a fragrance that would get your attention. A fragrance that would make you stand up and say, okay, who is this person? You know, she had that type of ability. When she walked into the room, she demanded attention. And that's one of the things that I appreciated most about Maya Angelou. Not only that, but the way that she talked to everyone. She wanted to be the teacher for everyone that was in her presence. And if you sit back long enough, you can walk away with so much from just those moments of being around Maya Angelou. One of the things that she said that really stuck out in my mind is I was reading over different information about Maya Angelou. And one of the things she said, speaking of us as African-American men, she said to the young black men, forgive yourselves. And that was really important because so often we don't. And when we live in a place of unforgiveness of ourselves, we operate in the world a different way. And when she talked about forgiving yourself, one of the things that she mentioned was forgive yourself for not being able to fend for your wife when you couldn't back in the day. Forgive yourself for being a slave. Forgive yourself for having the mental blocks in your life that prevented you from getting to the place that you wanted to get to make a difference in your life. Forgive yourself for not being the father that you could have been. And I think when we're able to forgive ourselves, we're able to move forward You know, and when we stand in unforgiveness of ourselves, we operate in a way that's careless. And that definitely affects our entire lives and the lives of others. So as young black men, we have to forgive ourselves. Do you agree?
100%. Yeah. I didn't even know she said all that.
Yeah, and you know, and even,
That's
you know,
crazy.
yeah, and you know, forgiveness, it's not just for African American men. Forgiveness is for men, everybody. Because Maya, it wasn't a color barrier with Maya. You know? And another thing that she said, if it's human, it's not alien to me. If it's human, it's not alien to me. So nothing that happens in the world is alien to her, no matter what it is, because she is human. And these things can happen when you are human. Whatever those things are, from being raped, from being molested, from being abused mentally and physically, all of these things, I can experience these things. Guess why? Because I am human. So these things that take place in life can certainly happen to me. You know, and when you look at it from that perspective, it can help you to get better in whatever it is that you're going through.
Exactly.
You know? So I think being, you know, realizing the fact that you are human, it helps you to grow.
Exactly.
As a person, it helps you to help other people in the world, in society, that have experienced things that you have experienced. And that's what it's all about. That's what life is all about. Maya Angelou is and was a phenomenal woman that will continue to live on.
Great job.
All right. We're going to be back in just a moment as we continue to pay tribute to Miss Maya Angelou. My next guest up is Mr. Mickey Jasper. You guys stick around.
Just want, oh my God, this small thing. See, because God, you know how to give good gifts. I wish I had somebody to your children. But now if I ask you for a fish, if my child asks for a fish and I know how to get a fish, that's good. I can give them the it of the fish. But my faith is not just for the fish. I want the river that the fish was swimming in.
All right, as promised, my next guest is Mr. Mickey Jasper as we pay tribute to Miss Maya Angelou.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Mickey.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm very honored to be here.
Oh, man. I'm honored that you took time out of your schedule to be here.
That was a pleasure.
Yeah,
Made me a little nervous when I got the call because I've not done poetry in a while, but I said, you know what, this is an opportunity.
Right. And I'm glad you took advantage of that opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
And showed up today. I actually met Mickey about, 20-some years ago.
20 years ago.
In California.
Right.
And doing the same thing, speaking, and I it's like I remember Mickey from doing this phenomenal work in poetry. I got to have this guy on the show.
Okay.
And so it's amazing how somebody can resonate in your spirit 20 years later when something comes up, and it's like I got to call Mickey. Hence, we here today. Now, Mickey, you know we're paying tribute to Maya Angelou.
Yes, sir.
And I know that she has inspired you without any doubt.
Without doubt. I'm an Arkansan. I'm from Arkansas, and so Maya Angelou's hometown is about 45 miles from my hometown. And when I was introduced to Phenomenal Woman, it was as if she was describing my mother and my grandmother. It was like she had articulated words that I was unable to articulate to describe how wonderful they were. And just observing her life throughout the years just gave an example of what true greatness was.
Yes.
She was an individual, when she walked in the room, you knew greatness was there. I was privileged to have a couple opportunities to see her in person. I was at the Million Man March in Washington, D.C. when she did the poetry there, and it was phenomenal. We were screaming out in the audience. As she was
I can imagine.
And once that I was in California, she was doing a book signing at Assawan Bookstore, and I got the opportunity to walk in there and get her signature and shake her hand.
Wow. Wow. And you know what? That's one of the things that I wanted to do myself. I wanted an opportunity to meet Maya. And the times that she had come to Houston, I didn't get those opportunities, but I wish I had. Because I, like you, admire Maya Angelou. And she just impresses me.
Oh, yes.
In doing research for this particular show today and going over a lot of footage that I found on her, I was just blown away even more by the things that she say. And it's amazing because you oftentimes hear the phrase, life and death is in the power of the tongue. And the beautiful thing about Maya Angelou is when she speaks life into the hearer's ear. You know, that's what we get from Maya Angelou. And that is so important, you know, and it's important that we watch what we say. And we watch what we put into the universe, because it can either have a negative or a positive effect. But everything about Maya was positive.
And she challenged us to do our best work.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, she was very complimentary. I mean, she worked at Wake Forest for years and inspired many of students there with her work. But she demanded of you to do your best work. Yeah. And I have seen an evolution of my work. I did my first book of poetry about 25 years ago. And I like to say I was an angry poet, you know, and I was writing angry poetry. And after becoming a student of Maya Angelou, I began to understand how you can write with quality, yet capture what has gone on in your life, but yet bring that, what I like to call that Shakespearean tone into your work. You know, that's what I get from Maya Angelou. When I think about Langston Hughes took our words and he just put them on paper. You know, he did all the grammatical errors that we did and he put it on paper. But Maya Angelou came with that Shakespearean tone. Yeah. And she said it correctly, and she made us want to say it correctly. And I appreciate her.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so do I. You know, another one of the things that she said is that, and I wrote it down here, it says, if you come to make a difference, you laugh as often as possible.
Yes.
If you've come to make a difference, you laugh as often as possible. And what she said after that is what really stuck with me. She said, because the very next phone call you get could be a phone call of tragedy.
Yes.
The very next phone call you be, someone could have passed away in your family. Someone could have had a bad accident. There's always something that can happen in life. So every opportunity you get to laugh. And we all know that laughter is like medicine to your soul.
It is.
So I'm a lot like Maya when it comes to that, man. Every chance I get, I'm laughing, or I'm cutting up, or I'm saying something crazy. It's just who I am. And it's good when you have that type of personality trait, because I like to see others laugh. And laughter is certainly a sign of joy. And if you can just bring laughter to people, it's a simple, easy thing, man. It's easy to bring laughter to people. Then that's a blessing. There's so many things that Maya said, and I wrote so much of it down because I didn't want to forget. I said, I'm going to write this down because my mind ain't like that. You know? And another thing she said, you know, when she talked about the courage.
Yes.
And it takes courage to do everything that we do. All of our aspirations, it takes courage. It takes courage to get out of bed every morning and face the world. It takes courage to live your dreams. It takes courage to not give up when things don't look so good in your life. It takes courage to fight. It takes courage to lose and get back up and start again. But Maya inspires us to do that with our lives, because she says that everything we do is a greater lesson for the next phase of where we're going. Everything that we do is a piece to a puzzle that fits into the completeness of our lives once it ends. Do you agree?
I agree indeed. I agree. Her body of work is magnificent, and one of the greatest teachers. I think students are going to be studying her for years. Her words are so empowering. I like one of the things that she says is, when a person shows you who they are, believe them.
Yes.
That is powerful in and of itself.
Yes. And you know, so often when a person shows us who they are, we don't want to believe it.
Right, right.
You know, or we want to believe something different about that person. But when a person shows you who they are, it may be good to take note. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
All right. Yeah, you know, take note, man, because it can be a lesson in that. It can be a lesson in that. Now, I know you've written a book, and I had placed it over to the side. I was like, okay, I got to get this book up here. 25 Pearls of Wisdom by Mickey Jasper.
Yes, sir.
What inspired you to write this book?
Well, I'm the son of a poet. My mother is a musician, and she was a singer and a poet, and so I grew up writing poetry back and forth, and we'd write songs, and then we'd have to go to church and perform the songs on stage.
Okay, okay.
It just became a very natural thing for me. And so when I got older, I decided, you know what, I think I want to embark on this, take it to the next level. And that's when I started to, you know, put my work together to try to get a book together.
Yeah.
And self-published. Did not have the time to wait on somebody to say yes or no. I said, I got to do this. This is what I have to do. And Black Expos were very important then, and I was going all around the country, sold over. I produced 5,000 copies and sold all 5,000 copies.
Wow. And you know, when you say that, it just takes me back to what we said a minute ago about courage.
Right.
And it takes courage to do those types of things. You know, a lot of times when we'll walk in fear. I know, I'll be honest, I walk in fear sometimes. When I thought about even doing the talk show, I walked in fear. I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I can do that. I walked in fear. But it's okay to walk in fear. Walk in fear, but continue to walk forward in fear. Right. Don't allow the fear to paralyze you or to stop your gift. Because each and every one of us have a gift.
That's right.
There's a little bit of my Angelou in every person sitting here today.
That's right, sir.
We have to find that person within ourselves so that we can show the world who we are.
Yeah.
Because we all have gifts, and gifts are made to be shared.
I do agree.
Do we all agree? We all agree. You know, this conversation about Maya can go on all day long, but if it does, we won't get the opportunity for the world to hear these awesome poets like yourself. So we're going to come back in just a moment, but you guys are going to get the opportunity to hear all four of these poets: George Goldenboy Phelps, Mickey Jasper, Key, and Mr. Marcus Parker. You guys stick around. You don't want to miss it.
As long as you don't try to step beyond this point, I have no problem with you. As long as you remain in your place, I have no problem with you. As long as you stay under me, I have no problem with you. But you bet not step forward. Oh, I wish I had. See, y'all missing it. Y'all missing it. See, that's the thing about it, is that folk are happy as long as you are where you are.
All right, welcome back to the Ferrell Phelps Show, where we have Mr. Marcus Parker in the house about to do his tribute to Miss Maya Angelou.
Dear Maya, I wrote you this letter knowing you're in a place better. Knowing you're in a place heavenly where love is spread evenly. Knowing you're gone, but your ears are still here. I'm speaking because I know you can still hear. Because I listen to the words you used to project, aspiring future writers from the suburbs to the urban projects. For me and others, your love will forever showcase evenly, with the same passion, but non-aggression, but unknowingly. We speak with the same voice, so together we make the same choice to honor your name as we hoist you like a trophy, because you're our champion and we're your ship, so forever we'll be tied at the hip. so I'll never fall and always stand tall, using my strength to energize men for the betterment of all. Unselfishly, I see no I, but we, like birds uncaged, we will forever fly free, and against our wings feel the pulse of the morning sun while in flight, causing our mind's eye to reflect its light upon the masses of the earth, giving them knowledge which will lead to wisdom to manifest a rebirth for a new way of thinking for a society that's sinking. So I'm concentrating without blinking on what you left behind, which can be defined as created divine, which I pray will never lose its shine. Yours truly, Charlie, you're divine.
All right, all right.
Sky Trues, custom eyewear, has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny's Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Goldenboy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues!
I present to you spoken word artist Kiki.
This one's for you, Miss Maya Angelou. As easy as an easy breeze beneath a butterfly's wing, an element of the intriguingly witty life drifts through unbelievable measures, absorbing all of nature's gravity and life. She was Maya Angelou. And I'm so glad I spoke her name, because since when her grace breathed a self-fulfillment into time. Such a sweet something, just like blackberries growing across grandma's back porch vine. Tender but firm, like after the ink has spread on paper and her words begin to flow. It's of hope and phenomenal aspiration. Destiny wasn't abandoned. She sprawled from the soil, not forgetting those thorns, but forgiving life's stubbornness. Yes. She sprawled from the soil, not forgetting those thorns, but forgiving life's stubbornness. And not a complaint in sight, yet rising to imply the fluorescence of our Creator. Ripened are the fruits they bear, existing above all extraordinary possibilities. Her vibrations will outlast the ocean's boil and the earth's billions. So glad I spoke her name, 'cause since when her grace breathed a self-fulfillment into time.
Sky Trues custom eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny's Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Goldenboy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames.
Sky Trues! All right, I present to you Mr. George Goldenboy Phelps.
This poem is called I Wish You Would Have Heard Your Poems Before You Passed. In a world that perpetuates black teen pregnancy, the ostracized black mother is reduced to the only chances of income behind a pole. Unaware of her self-worth, an innocent youth, it has been stolen, stripped, and mutilated before she was 18 years old. Warranted by rap videos that emphasize the immediate obsession with butts and breasts. She believes the only thing that's beautiful about her is those. Raped and degraded by men she once looked up to, she finds hope in dollar bills, cheap pumps, alcohol, and no self-control. Short skirts that show her soul and spirit she rushes to because that's all she knows. Cursed by the ideology of urban praise, is glorified by her street occupation, and soldiered for being promiscuous, which is grants no gratification. Behind her nonchalant ways and careless thoughts, she is bound by her situations. Enchanted by the fast dollar, she willy lynches her dreams for tomorrow, while she exploits herself for capital gain. In love with her fair skin, she separates herself from the darkest pain. I'm going to bring that back because y'all ain't even listening. Enchanted by the fast dollar, she willy lynches her dreams for tomorrow, while she exploits herself for capital gain. In love with her fair skin, she separates herself from the darkest pain. They say the apple don't fall too far from the tree, but she expects no tears from her mother on her window pane. I'm just trying to give you the large picture of her mind frame. She is designed to not point fingers and blame, never accepting responsibility, and quite frankly, she has no shame. No father to tell her she is beautiful, so she seeks aimless attention from men through monetary gain. Because now the phrase, just a piece of ass, is added to her name. But she has no cause with the change. Don't you find that strange? I'm just trying to give you the large picture in her mind frame. They say, why preach hope to the hopeless when there's no church in the wild and their faith has no devotion? So I'm praying she does not have an untimely demise. But doesn't that plague your mind? That a mother can love dope more than her daughter? Doesn't that plague your mind? Plague mine. So, I'm praying she don't have an untimely demise. But doesn't that plague your mind? That mother can love her dope more than she love her daughter. She was given a ladder with no steps, so it was never foreseen that she would climb. So my question to Maya Angelou, how will she rise? 100.
just want, oh my God, this small thing. See, because God, you know how to give good gifts. I wish I had somebody. To your children. But now if I ask you for a fish, if my child asks for a fish and I know how to get a fish, that's good. I can give them the it of the fish. But my faith is not just for the fish. I want the river that the fish was swimming in.
All right, next up is Mr. Mocha Brown.
Though I hear your name, the essence of pain remains the same, because me and you, we were the same color, black, in this world where we are constantly dejected, told that we cannot be given the opportunities to live for the greatness that once was the glory of Christ. People look at us and don't want to give us a chance, but we know that we can overcome the strife. Each day we reach out, wanting to say things that don't come to the mind, but speak eloquently to the heart. We do this thing every day, knowing that you are still the one that has departed.
As long as you don't try to step beyond this point, I have no problem with you. As long as you remain in your place, I have no problem with you. As long as you stay under me, I have no problem with you. But you bet not step forward. Oh, I wish I had. See, y'all missing it. Y'all missing it. See, that's the thing about it, is that folk are happy as long as you are where you are.
All right, I present to you Mr. Mickey Jasper.
Shakespeare. Oh, Shakespeare. Maya Angelou was here. Follow me as I reminisce. Beyond the beyond, more distant than yonder. In the twilight of the night, there looms a beauty which sounds so quietly, the voice of a new beginning. Untouched by the past, neither pressured by the future, she glows with an exuberance that sparkles the splendor of life perfected. Answering only those who fear not to believe, challenging only those fit for change, she permitted me entrance. I was lured into a room, seated at a desk, handed a pen, and given a scroll. Maya said, "Write a poem of a tree. Not a rock, not a river, but a tree." In obedience I wrote, "A tree is but a tree, is but a tree." Maya then pointed to a tree. And from afar I beheld this tree, standing firmly, rooted on the mountain of bliss, having life of visible beauty, branches stronger than poles of iron, leaves as plenteous as the stars of the night. With purpose, this tree did so stand. I admired the tree. But right before mine eyes there came a wind, a gushing wind, stronger than the age of the tree and taller than the mountain on which the tree stood. This wind blew notoriously against the tree, pounding with the strength of oxen. Giving no vent to why the tree stood, the wind continued in anger.
The tree, fighting to hold its beauty, became weak and struggled only to hold its position. The wind, relentlessly beating against the tree, defeated the tree. And from the mountain of bliss to the valley of depression, I saw the tree fall, echoing defeat. In the hands of foreign soil, the tree landed below. Branches broken, leaves scattered. This tree was beaten by the path of the wind. But yet barely alive, I saw within the soul of the tree a desire to live. Suddenly, as quickly as the appearance of the wind, there came hope standing in the tree. The tree nursed by the sunshine. The tree pampered by the rain. The tree being healed through determination stood once again with its leaves and branches extending above the mountain of bliss, and its roots now planted in the valley of depression. This tree waved with a beauty more profound than the beauty I beheld when I first looked upon the tree. Maya then asked, would you have known the true beauty of this tree without seeing the pain of its fall? Before I could answer, she posed a second question. Do you, my good fellow, see men as trees? I responded, no, Maya. I see men as men, but yet I have seen the beauty of man through the life of the tree. Shakespeare, Shakespeare, Maya Angelou is here.
Woo! All right. I'm so glad that you guys joined us on this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show, where we pay tribute to Miss Maya Angelou with poet Mickey Jasper, Mocha Brown, George Goldenboy Phelps, Mr. Marcus Parker, and Kiki. I hope you guys have enjoyed this edition as much as I have. I hope you've been inspired, motivated, and educated in some way as we talked about and paid tribute to Miss Maya Angelou. She lives.
She lives.
For more information on this show, you can certainly reach us at Let's Talk About It 12TV at gmail.com. That's Let's Talk About It 12TV at gmail.com. You can also YouTube us. Simply go to YouTube, type in the name Ferrell Phelps. You'll see all of our shows listed right there. Until next time, folks, we'll see you then.
All right. Talk about it.
That's